Zootopia 2 has barely hit theaters, and we already know which characters will appear in the sequel. Some of them have existed in the universe since the first movie. Are you ready to find out what's going to happen? Everyone knows that the new story will introduce the birds of the Zootopia universe. The post-credit scene shows a feather falling near Judy Hopps' window, and that's why our list starts by talking about Gaius, a bird who will look for our favorite bunny because he needs the help of a great detective. Judy and Nick have saved the city twice and even helped free several animals from predators. The first time was with mammal predators and then with the snakes. This bird must be trying to solve some kind of crime, which is why he will seek out Judy. But what we need to know is whether he is innocent or not. Do birds live in the city of Zootopia? Or will Gaius's story be similar to the snakes and lizards? We'll find out when the movie hits theaters. It's time to have fun with us in another Cinewave. Nick's father. Nick's father is another character who needs to appear in Zootopia 3, and not just him, because the mother of the Fox police officer is also a character who should return. Of course, Disney owes this to the fans because his mother hid her face in the first movie. But what's curious about Nick's father is that Nick never talks about this character, and there must be a reason behind that. You may have noticed that every time Nick comes up with a disguise, he dresses up as a father. In the first movie, in the ice cream shop scene, and in the second story when he pretended to be Judy's husband. Nick's father must be a character who is in prison. Will Nick investigate a crime and discover that his father is innocent? That sounds like it could fit perfectly with a good story for the next movie. Wooly. Have you ever heard of Wooly, a secret agent ram who dressed as a wolf to investigate strange things happening in the city? What's curious is that this character was cut from the first movie because Bellwether was placed as the villain, and that's strange, don't you think? Our theory is that this character, Wooly, is Bellwether's father, and maybe he will appear in the next adventure to rescue his daughter from prison. Will he really do that in the next movie? That would turn the former mayor into a villain in Zootopia 3. It could be true, since she wanted to travel at the end of the movie, maybe to visit her father. Mother. Did you notice that a character is missing in Zootopia 2? Where is Paubert's mother? This character could be very important in the future, because maybe she really is the good Lynx. Paubert pretended to be a nice guy, maybe imitating what his mother used to be like, but in the end, he was just like his father, a lying and evil Lynx. Paubert's mother may have abandoned the family after realizing that her husband and children would never be good, and maybe she knows even more secrets about this family. And that's important, because if you think the Lynxes are going to stay in prison for a long time, think again. They are very powerful and should escape from prison in the next movie. Ex-boyfriend. There are several scenes in Zootopia 2 that show a romance between our protagonists, and that creates a lot of doubts, doesn't it? Are the two of them ready to start a relationship? That's why Zootopia 3 should introduce an old boyfriend of Judy, a bunny who lived with her before our protagonist entered the police academy. They must have ended the relationship because Judy wanted to be a detective, but her boyfriend said that a bunny can't have that kind of job. This character should appear to try to win back her love. Will Nick get jealous? Would you like to see Judy with Nick or with another character? Comment number love so we can get to know you. Grandmother. You may not have noticed that Judy's grandmother appeared in Zootopia 2. She was in that scene where the bunny's parents called their daughter because they wanted to know how her life was going. Judy's grandmother takes the phone and says that she prays every day for her granddaughter to come back home and have children. That's funny because this character should appear in the next story to help Judy's ex-boyfriend win back the protagonist's heart. That's sad because in this case, Judy would need to argue with her grandmother since she doesn't understand that Judy's future is to live in Zootopia with Nick. Yeah, it looks like family problems are on the way. Dolphin. A lot of people didn't notice it, but in this movie, we were also introduced to aquatic mammals, such as dolphins. The next movie could introduce a dolphin who is a police officer. Of course, this is important because if aquatic mammals live in houses underwater, then some crimes happen there, and that's why we need aquatic mammals. Will the next movie show a character who helps the police take care of the submerged part of Zootopia? That's a strong possibility. Mayor Swinton. Do you know who Mayor Swinton is? In the creator's first idea for this universe, there would be a character from the pig species, and she would be the main villain of the story. Everyone knows that the idea of the mayor being the villain continued, but why did the creators make the antagonist a sheep instead of a pig? But this character appeared in the second movie. She is at the Lynx family party alongside another pig who is likely her husband. Could this be a hint that she will appear in the third movie as a major villain? That would be a big problem because the creators said that Swinton would be a very intelligent antagonist. Next, crocodile. There are leaked images from the art book of the second movie, and some of those images show characters that were cut. A shame, since fans would have loved to get to know these characters. One of them is the crocodile in a suit. On one of the pages, it shows a crocodile who dresses very well. But that's strange, isn't it? That's because in the story, reptiles are seen as unimportant characters, and that makes us think that this character will appear in the next movie as a reptile who is a businessman or even a lawyer. He would be an interesting villain, maybe Bellwether's lawyer. This character should appear in the next movie. The question is whether he is good or evil. Would you trust a crocodile in a suit? Doctor. There is another leaked image that shows an elephant doctor taking care of a snake. And this scene is interesting because, for sure, the creators wanted to show a moment where Gary would get hurt and need to go to a hospital. This scene is very important, and the elephant doctor should also have a place in the next movie because Zootopia, even though it's a Disney animation, is a police story, meaning there is a lot of action and maybe even a little bit of blood. Let's remember that Paubert tried to take Judy's life, so doctors are important and need to be in the next movie. But if he is in the story, then who is going to get hurt? Wow, thinking about that makes us scared, right? Want to keep having fun with us? Then subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Elephant. Still talking about elephants, there is a leaked image that shows an elderly elephant. He uses a cane and is wearing a nice suit. What's curious is that he is angry and arguing with Judy. This might be a clue that our protagonist will go through a very tense moment in the next movie. We know this because Zootopia always shows the city's problems, and if an old rich elephant is yelling at Judy, then it's because, once again, she will take the blame for a problem that other characters created. They say that when elephants lose their patience, it's better not to stand under them. Here's the tip: never irritate an elephant. Kangaroo. Another scene that appears in the movie's art book shows an evil kangaroo being violent with a reporter, and that makes us think he could be a henchman of the villains in the story of the next Zootopia. Of course, he was supposed to appear in the second movie, but there wasn't enough space for him. And as you well know, the kangaroo is an animal that lives in Australia, and anyone who watched Zootopia 2 knows that the story ends with Bellwether trying to flee to the Australian part of the Zootopia world when she appears talking to a koala. Does that mean this character will appear in the next movie? The clues indicate yes. Father and son. Do you remember that chase scene when Judy and Nick steal a pig's car to go after the anteater who had escaped? According to the movie's art book, there were supposed to be two characters in that scene. You may also remember that, at that moment, a sheep barbershop appears and gets invaded by the chaos of the chase. The images from the book show that the creators plan to show a sheep father and son in the middle of that scene. And that's interesting because in the first movie, these animals were shown as being evil because of Bellwether. These two characters should appear in the next movie because Bellwether will return to cause trouble in the city again. And maybe it will be important to show that not all sheep are bad. Is this a clue that Disney is planning to show more of them in the future? It's almost certain that yes, because otherwise the creators wouldn't have included the image of the sheep father and son in the art book of Zootopia 2. The goat. In the first movie, there was supposed to be a character who is an old goat working as a traffic officer. In fact, the creators of the movie said that this character would have several jobs, just like Mrs. Rabbit in the Peppa universe. This goat would also faint a lot, probably from working too much, and Judy would have nightmares about her, because if you remember, Chief Bogo said that the bunny would have to work as a traffic officer in the first movie. It would be very interesting to show this character in the next movie, because she could serve as a great joke for Zootopia fans. What do you think about that? Bogo's girlfriend. Another character who is very important for the next movie is a possible girlfriend of Chief Bogo. This character most certainly exists in the Zootopia universe, and for those who doubt it, we have a question. Do you really think that Chief Bogo, who is a huge fan of Gazelle and even danced at her concert, doesn't attract attention from women? He definitely has a girlfriend, and it would be really cool to see what Chief Bogo is like when he's not ordering the police around. Could he be a romantic guy? We bet he is. Fox. And speaking of girlfriends, won't an ex-girlfriend of Nick appear in the next movie? She could be a former crime partner of his. Maybe a character who returns to the city because she wants to steal something very valuable, and maybe Nick would feel attracted to her once again. This former girlfriend would deceive Nick, but in the end, he would realize that she is a liar and would go back to being Judy's partner, just like you will keep staying here with us. The next step is right in front of you. 2 fun-filled videos waiting for your click. Thanks, and see you soon.